Picture this, the South, 2009. You were like 11 and just climbing into your car full of your siblings and your neighbor's kids. Your mom had just taken you all to the library for some summer reading thing or something, I don't remember. As you settled and your mom pulled off, the sound of the radio and children chatting fills the car, and you crack open your current favorite book, So Be It. It was kind of an intense book for a child, but you loved it. You got to the part of the book that mentioned death. And then, as if on cue, someone on the radio announces that Michael Jackson had died. Your mom, famously a Michael Jackson superfan, yells, "What?" and pulls the car over. You and everyone else stop what you're doing and listen in on the radio. Your mom just sits there in silence, staring blankly ahead. Because you were a superstitious child, you thought you had caused what happened to Michael Jackson since you had just read about death. Still parked in the same spot, your brother, who's around your age, taps you on the shoulder and points to a storm cloud that was rolling in. He says, "That's the ghost of Michael Jackson. He's coming for us because we made fun of him." Terrified and confused, you close your book, never to finish it. And after what seems like an eternity, your mother, with vacant eyes, starts the car back up, takes her horde of 7 children through the McDonald's drive-thru, heads home, and doesn't come out of her room for a week. Needless to say, I have some familiarity with Michael Jackson. My mother and everyone else I knew around her age talked about him all the time. It was a big deal to me when he died. As alluded to previously, yes, my brother and I made fun of him a lot growing up, but only because it kind of seemed like the thing to do. But I don't know, man. Now I definitely see him as more of a nuanced person. Today, I want to talk about the Michael Jackson movie, which means this is going to be full of spoilers. If you don't want that, I understand. I'd love for you to watch the movie, come back, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Also, disclaimer, I'm not a film critic. I am not an analyst. I will miss things. You disagree with me, but it's okay. I'm just a girl with a microphone. Amen? All right. Also, I may sound sick. It's because I'm sick. All right, anyway. Essentially, Michael is like an artist's rendering of Michael Jackson's life story up until, I think, like the late 90s. There are a lot of key details missing, but some have been sprinkled throughout like Easter eggs. And I think that brings me to my main point about this movie. This is not meant to be a biopic in the purest sense. To me, it reads more like a musical about how Michael Jackson gained independence from his daddy. The movie isn't so much a depiction of Michael's tumultuous public and personal life or his legal battles and allegations. It reads more like a movie you get your fellow NJ girlies together and watch while singing along and laughing and reminiscing. My main reason for saying this is because they completely gloss over really important details. And I have to imagine that it was so that they could keep the tone of the movie light, but I don't know why you would do that. By the end, it was almost feeling a little bit like revisionist history-ish. A major example, and the one that ticked me off the most, was his daddy. A simple Google search will show you his dad was a horrible and abusive man. Sure, they show Michael being mistreated as a child, but once he gets a bit older, his dad comes across more like the burglars from Home Alone than the monster he definitely was. He walked around like you were just waiting for him to step on a rake and hit himself in the head and go, "Doy." There's a scene where Michael's mom stands up to his dad, and it was just so unrealistic. According to Michael himself, like real life Michael Jackson, the mere sight of his father would make him throw up when he was younger. So yeah, they kind of took some liberties. A lot of the times his dad's response to something was just to harumph and stand there like an idiot. Whereas if you have ever met a physically and or emotionally abusive person, you know that stuff would have gone real different. It would have escalated real quick. I like how they painted Michael as a lover of animals and someone with a kind heart. I don't know if that's like canon, I don't know if it's true. Even though I grew up making fun of him, like I said earlier, I did also love him, like in a way. And when he died, MTV played his music videos nonstop, and I became more acquainted with his music. I think it's really difficult to reconcile the atrocities someone may have committed with this otherwise good picture of them you have in your head. So I guess it was nice that they kind of painted him in a good light, I guess. I don't know. And then maybe insensitive to the people that something may or may not have happened to. I'm kind of still on the fence about that. And if I'm not mistaken, I think other biopics, I'm looking at you, what was it, Jet Jackson? Some other Michael Jackson movie. I remember a lot of them do focus on the negative, and maybe that's appropriate. But anyway, moving right along. This brings me to another thing I did like about the movie. I liked that they ended it before the 2000s. I think that was a great choice because going into the movie, there are a lot of facets I was curious about how they would tackle. Like MJ's changing appearance, his legal battles and accusations, his declining health. So I think for the sake of being tasteful and staying within its genre, which I'm thinking is feel-good movie, it was good to stop there. Again, a lot of the movie is framed as a journey of independence from his father. Kind of made sense just to stop when he finally was able to perform by himself separate from the Jacksons as a brand. Also, I would argue this movie was a musical more than like a traditional biopic or something like that. And here's why I say that. They play a lot of Michael Jackson's music throughout the film, and they should. If I had the rights to his music, I would too. But they play whole songs several times. Sometimes it feels almost ingratiating, like, okay, why are you showing me this? Don't you want to talk about how his daddy K-worded his rat? No, you just want to cut to a video of him singing Ben on stage. Okay, yeah, no, that's cool too, I guess. As for the young man who plays Michael Jackson, Jafar Jackson, he ate that role up. I'm usually annoyed with like nepo casting or whatever, but I literally don't know who else would have done a better job. Several times throughout the movie, I got lost in the sauce and forgot I was looking at someone who wasn't Michael Jackson. I remember after the nose job scene, I thought, oh, this guy looks familiar. Like the scarecrow from The Wit. Oh. His movements were MJ-like. His speaking voice was too. I wasn't in love with how he always, and I do mean always, looked like he was smiling. But I also realized that maybe in a movie about Michael Jackson, it's more important to get someone who can move, look, and talk like him than eat up every line. So I'm gonna give grace on that. So yeah, that's my opinion after seeing the movie once. Knowing my mama, I'm probably going to see the movie like 4 more times before the year is over. What are your opinions? I don't typically watch biopics, so is this a pretty standard one? Do you believe it would have been better to extend the movie into the 2000s? What do you think about them not addressing more of the controversial things that Michael Jackson may have done? Let's discuss. Thanks for watching. Bye!